You guys, you want to see one of the most brutally savage Twitter takedowns ever? Kristi Noem, governor of South Dakota. She's toxic as shit. She's married. She had an affair with one of Trump's staff members named Corey Lewandowski. Now, she is so toxic. The native reservations in South Dakota, the Native Americans, they banned her from ever stepping foot on their land because she made really toxic Trumpian-like comments where she accused all the native people of being drug mules. Now, she has a book coming out, and this was the big news today, right? South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem, in a forthcoming book, wait till you hear this, describes shooting a family dog after a hunting trip. Noem, who has been discussed as a possible running mate for Trump, describes growing angry with the nearly 14-month-old cricket, a wire-haired pointer, during a hunting trip. It was 14 months old. It was a fucking puppy. She got angry at it, and then she shot the dog. She writes that she had taken Cricket on the hunt, hoping she would learn from older dogs, but instead the younger dog ruined the hunt by chasing all those birds and having the time of her life. I hated that dog, she wrote, adding that Cricket was untrainable, dangerous, and worthless as a hunting dog. The Guardian wrote that the story was told as an anecdote to show that Noem believes sometimes difficult tasks must be carried out, and that she is not afraid to do so. Now, I want to say this. My father, this was before I had any memory, when I was like 1 year old. We had a collie named Lassie. Okay, not a very original name, but Lassie was a big collie name back in the 70s. I don't remember this, but all my half brothers and sisters and my mom did. The neighbors accused Lassie of like going into their garden. And so my dad took the dog out in the field and shot it. And then they found out later it wasn't Lassie that was doing that to the neighbor's garden. It was a deer. But my dad shot the dog. But my dad, he was not a normal man. He was a degenerate, sociopath, abuser. And I'm kind of getting the feeling that Kristi Noem is the same way, that she's a sociopath. But so that was the big deal. Okay, is everyone, even Republicans, right? Like even Tim Pool. Here he said right here, Tim Pool said, did she just intentionally end her career? Oh my God. We love animals, tough things. But now let me show you guys the sickest burn right here. Here's Kristi Noem's tweet. I don't know many folks as tough as Riley Gaines. Ew. She challenges the status quo every single day. No, she is the hideous, pasty-faced, anti-LGBTQ status quo. My new book, No Going Back, will show you how to fight for what's right, just like Riley. Now, somehow it got 2.4K likes, even though she killed her dog. But look at what Linda did. She said, do you keep this on your fridge so you don't get confused? Fuck, marry, kill. And Mary is a picture of Kristi Noem's husband. Fuck is a picture of Corey Lewandowski, Trump's staff member, abusive, alcoholic piece of shit. And kill was a picture of Kristi Noem's 14-month-old dog. That's the dog that she shot in a gravel pit instead of like taking it to the pound or something. But this is one of the most savage, like what I said in my post is I said, someone called the coroner because Linda just put a chalk outline around Kristi Noem. Oh my God, bro. Dude, these Republican politicians they're not good people. They're horrible people. They're cruel and needlessly cruel, and they're proud of it. See, that's one of the things that is so crazy. Republican politicians right now is even though they tout this like Christian morality, it's all fake. They're all scummy. They're all cheating on their wives or husbands. Marjorie Taylor Greene, multiple affairs on her husband. Divorce. Kristi Noem, affair on her husband with a piece of shit. Donald Trump today is complaining about how he can't celebrate his wife's birthday because he had to be in court, but he's in court for having multiple affairs when he was like 60 years old. He had an affair with a woman the entire time his wife was pregnant with Barron. And he's fucking around on his mistress and paying them to be quiet and shit so he can become president. He's a scumbag. Lauren Boebert, you ready? Look at this shit. Lauren Boebert today tweeted, when the left came for our children, that's when it became clear how serious this fight truly was. We're not going to back down, right? She's saying the left coming for our children. But dude, did the left come for your burglarizing kid? The one who just had a kid with a teenage bride? If we actually came for your kid, he probably wouldn't be a criminal. And that's the God's honest truth. If a left-wing person raised her kid, he might very well not be in trouble. Her husband was a pedophile who exposed himself to young women. It looks like she's had affairs. Her husband was a drunk who was consistently like assaulting his neighbors and shit. Her kid is, burglarizing vehicles and got a teenage girl pregnant. He's like 19. She's talking about the left coming for our children. Her kids would be better off with some left-wing parents. This is also Kristi Noem. 7 months ago. A years-long affair. She's a Christian. She preaches family values. Dude, now, I want to be very clear here that I understand that affairs happen, okay? And I don't even fault people. Like, sometimes you have a bad marriage or sometimes you have issues going on. People do things. They turn to drugs and alcohol. They will have affairs. That shit'll happen. But my problem with people having affairs stems when they simultaneously present themselves as like spokespersons for values, right? Like, I wouldn't care that Lauren Boebert's kid is a burglarizing who got an underage girl pregnant, okay? You could chalk that up to like she's got a troubled kid. But when Lauren Boebert starts posting about the left coming for our children and all this shit about parents' rights and being a good parent and getting rid of like the gay teachers because they're a danger to her kids, while her own kid is a degenerate, troubled, traumatized individual that's getting no help because her mom's out there chasing, being an ambulance chaser for the anti-LGBTQ movement and getting hammered at like Republican fundraisers, getting cut off and having the Secret Service like remove her from Trump's table because she's trying to take selfies with him. So her own family is underwater and she's telling everybody, she's like preaching to everyone about family values. And that's where I draw the line, because I don't want any of these people preaching to me about family values. And sure as not somebody like Kristi Noem, who's a scumbag, and she's cheating with a dirtbag like Corey Lewandowski.
This morning, one of his biggest supporters, former Trump campaign manager Corey Lewandowski,
there he is
on defense, now facing an investigation into a sexual assault allegation. Singer Joy Villa, a Trump supporter who wore a Make America Great Again dress to the Grammys this year, tweeted this picture. She says it was taken in November, seconds before Lewandowski slapped her behind not once, but twice. I was shocked and embarrassed by his behavior, she wrote. Lewandowski, a contributor with the Fox Business Network, was asked about the allegations.
I'm not here to speak for Joy. What I am here to do is to speak for me. And what I am going to do is to let the process play forward.
Dude, he's a abuser. Corey Lewandowski, a longtime political advisor to Donald Trump, was removed Wednesday from his role overseeing a super PAC after a donor accused him of making unwanted sexual advances and touching her inappropriately at a dinner in Las Vegas on Sunday night. But a month later, Trump began reaching out to Mr. Lewandowski again, and he was soon back in the fold. So even when this guy is trashy, Trump doesn't care. Aides to Mr. Trump insists this latest incident is different, particularly because it involves a donor to the former president. The donor, Trashelle Odom, made the allegations about Mr. Lewandowski in a statement that was first reported on Wednesday by Politico and later provided to the New York Times. He repeatedly touched me inappropriately, said vile and disgusting things to me, stalked me, and made me feel violated and fearful, she said in a statement about the dinner. Now, this is a woman who is a Republican. and a donor to President Trump, and his campaign manager slash staff member is being vile and scummy, like no filter on these people. This is the guy that Kristi Noem cheated with. This is the woman who murdered her dog because she got mad at it because it didn't perform well enough on a hunting trip. And she's the woman that was having an affair for years with Corey Lewandowski, that scumbag piece of shit who is out sexually assaulting Trump donors while he was working for Trump's super PAC.
I think so too. You know, it's interesting. Our faith is incredibly important to us.
Here it comes.
Scripture specifically talks about, you know, a husband and a wife and the relationship that should be there. So even though I'm a very quick decision maker, I typically know what I want to do, have plans, and go after them wholeheartedly.
She's all her and her husband are all into scripture while she's that pig, Corey Lewandowski.
And having a husband was a teammate and a partner for me and a source of wisdom. So
yikes.
Most of the time, he is the balance to me. He's the one that slows me down and puts a lot of thought into prayer into every decision that we make. I also knew that
he puts the prayer into the decisions. I would love the reporter to say, Kristi, did he pray for Corey Lewandowski to use a condom?
I was going to be around for the rest of my life. So
right, like
the fact
fuck,
that we are
man.
where we are today is pretty incredible.
They're so scummy.
He is more willing to really look at the long-reaching effects of the decisions that I make. You know, if you run for this office, what does that mean for our family? What does that mean for how our holidays will look? What does that mean for how do I take care of these children when you're gone for 4 days in a row? And
see, here's what I wonder. This is the part that I find mind-blowing, okay? Because in my world, one of the things I do, one of the core tenets of my day-to-day life is looking at how I'm operating in my day-to-day life. I'm constantly on a day-to-day basis, like self-assessing who I am, what I'm doing, and how I can bring more honesty and vulnerability and straight up openness to how I connect with everybody in my day-to-day life. It's a core principle. That's not the only thing I do, but it is an element that I think if you have any type of normal executive function up here in your frontal lobe, that type of examination of who you are and how consistent you're being with your personal beliefs, it's a part of your daily reality of like being a good human being, right? Now, what's interesting is when we see somebody like Kristi Noem, who is put together, she's obviously, you know, putting on a lot of makeup. She's got the long eyelashes. She's doing her eyebrows. She's getting all made up. She's wearing those camouflage pants, which is making her own kind of statement. She's out here talking about her husband and she's talking about their faith and their values. But at the same time, everybody in GOP circles knows she's been having an affair for years with Corey Lewandowski. Okay? People know. And he's a fucking pig, right? He's having all these sexual assault charges and shit. And all this is going on hidden. What I always wonder is how is she sitting here giving this interview, talking about this stuff that she's talking about, while apparently not being remotely connected to the integrity of the actual life she's living? You know, is she just a bona fide sociopath where she doesn't even think about any of that shit because she's living in some sort of grandiose world where she's the powerful Kristi Noem and she's there going up the ladder politically, and it doesn't matter who she does, what she does to whom, because she has no connection to feelings, right? She's like a sociopath. Or she could be somebody that is like so mind warped from her Christianity that she knows she's like doing these awful things, but she believes she's a Christian, and as long as she prays every night asking for forgiveness, she can go out there and keep doing that toxic, nasty shit, and her religion's got her back, right? Because she's like, oh, whatever. I don't know what the other option is. Like, how does somebody sit there and talk about faith and their family and all that shit when they're a degenerate piece of trash? I don't get it, right? Like Trump, he's another example. He's sitting there in court, coming out of the court saying, oh, I can't be with Melania, or they won't let me go to Barron's graduation. But he's literally in court because the entire time his wife was pregnant with that kid, he was never around. He was a bunch of other women, and later like falsifying his business records to pay them off so he could become president. And who knows how many other women he's around with, right? And if you listen to Stormy Daniels' account and many other women, that usually the way he got sex from these women was by dangling some promise of maybe putting them on his TV show and shit. But he was lying about that too. He never had an intention. He never even had the power to put those women on his TV show, right? He was like a producer in name only. You know what I mean? You know, they were borrowing his personality and like he had nothing to do with the creation of that show. They were just borrowing his personality and his outrageousness, right? As a reality TV star where you could be a total loser and it actually makes good TV. So yeah, to me, it's mind-blowing that people can live with these long-standing lapses of integrity, and apparently they just don't fucking care.